Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dynasty 365 here on Fantasy and Frames. I'm your host, JT. I'm by myself tonight. Jorge on vacation. Aiden's got some other work. He's jumping in later on with the guys on Fourth and Frames. If you got any questions, feel free to jump in the comments tonight. I'm talking about my favorite buys per round in Dynasty rookie drafts. Guys I'm leaning towards, guys I'm grabbing where I can. Obviously, everybody knows about the Ashton GTs, the Marion Hamptons, the Ted McMillans, all those big time guys. Obviously, you can get some good value depending on where you draft them. We'll talk a little bit about that. We're also going to just talk about some of the guys I'm getting, maybe mid to late rounds. I just really like the value. If those guys are falling to me where I'm drafting, because I've been all over the board. I've probably done about 15 drafts or so far, rookie drafts this Dynasty off season. Currently, right now, it's been a mixed bag. I've gone everywhere from 101 to 104 in the tops. I've been a bunch of mids and a few ones at the ends, getting different guys depending on league format. That's always important. So always think about that. Go back, look at your scoring. I always like, because I'm in so many leagues, I forget what scoring is in every league sometimes. Always get back before your draft starts. Rank your players, put them in your queue, look at the scoring and figure out, okay, does this make sense? Does this guy move up or down for me depending on scoring? Tight ends this year, big difference, tight end scoring. Depending on where you're scoring and how many guys you got to start, what the tight end premium, I've seen tight ends go all the way real high, early second round, to seeing guys drop to like fourth and fifth round in non-tight end premium leagues. So you really got to figure out what your league has, what kind of what is going to make the difference and where some of those guys are going. So let's jump into the first round. We all kind of know the top end guys, like we said, GT, Hanson, Hunter, McMillan, Henderson, Judkins. All those guys are really going, top 5, 6, 7 in the first round. Depending on your league, super flex, 2 QB, you're going to get Cam Ward kind of mixed in there. The other guys, the guys that I'm finding the best value on, for me, right now, the best first round value is Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State, now on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, when he got drafted by Tampa Bay right away, the look was like, this is not a good landing spot for him. He's going to get buried. I re-looked at it. I actually think this is a good landing spot for him. Tampa Bay they're going to score. They're going to put up points. This team was one of the top fantasy producers in the league last year. Baker Mayfield extended him. He's going to be throwing the ball all over the place. We get the interceptions with him, but we get touchdowns and we get yards. How healthy is Chris Godwin? That's a big iffy, man. That ankle injury last year was brutal. How long is it before he comes back? And if he comes back right away, how long before he's 100%, if at all, for the whole season? I like Emeka Egbuka working in here. I like him working out of the slot. I think Jalen McMillan gets pushed down. I think Egbuka is much better than him. Obviously, you still have Mike Evans on the outside. I've seen Egbuka, depending on the league, as high as 7 or 8. Typically, I've been seeing him more in the 10, 11, 12 range in drafts, and I've seen him get to the second round only a couple times in drafts. If he gets to that second round, I'm trading up and getting him for sure. But I'm loving Emeka Egbuka at the end of the first round. Right now, first round for me, he is the top value play there. Getting into the second round, it's getting real interesting. You're getting some early to mid second round nice buys depending on where guys drop, depending on who falls. I've had a couple leagues where tight ends are dropping, and you can get a Colson Loveland. You can get Tyler Warren for the Colts. You can get some of those guys at the top of second round. My favorite guy, probably not necessarily the best buy in most people's mind, but my favorite player at the top of the second, Luther Burden, Missouri wide receiver going to the Chicago Bears. I know it's a crowded wide receiver room. Also, you got to add Cole Kmet and Loveland in there. How much volume is Burden going to get? For me, I don't know rookie year how much he's going to get, but for me, the long-term buy is Burden. Number one wide receiver in the country coming out of high school, out of East St. Louis, was an absolute stud there. Then went to Missouri. Very nice freshman year, breakout freshman year, true freshman. monster true sophomore season. If he comes out after his sophomore year, which you got to be out of high school 3 years in the NFL, so he wasn't eligible for the draft. He comes out after sophomore year. I don't think there's any way he wasn't a top 15 pick. I just don't think. I think he was. I would have had him ranked higher than Rome Odunze last year, and Rome Odunze went top 10. So to me, for him dropping all the way to the second round for the Bears, and now in fantasy, for fantasy purposes, getting him at 2.2, 2.3, 2.4 even. The latest I've seen him was 2.6. I've got him at a ton of 2.2 and a ton of 2.4. He's another guy. If he's there at the top of the second, I've been looking to make trades to get up and get him. Love Luther Burden there. Big fan of him at the top of that second round. To me, I've taken him as early as 110 in leagues where I just knew I wasn't going to be able to get into the early second round. I didn't want to take a chance on missing him. So I've jumped in there and taken him as late as 110. So if I can get him early to like 2.4, 2.5, I'm ecstatic in a league. So that's my second round best buy there. As you're getting later in this second round, to me, it gets really interesting depending on what league you have, where you're getting tight ends, where some of these quarterbacks are falling. Trey Harris is a guy I love. Depending on where he's going, I would see him go early first, which I'm an absolute buy all day long at 210 for him. So he's another guy that I think for value-wise could play a big role in that Chargers offense. I think he could definitely be the deep threat for that team. I really like him with Justin Herbert there. So he's a guy I'm buying. My other big-time value, especially in a high tight end premium, it's really going to depend on where he goes because you're tight end premium. But Mason Taylor out of LSU went to the Jets right now in camp. It's sounding like he's going to be the starter day one at tight end for them. We've seen Justin Fields hook up his tight end. Cole Kmet had a monster year at tight end with Justin Fields at QB. Mason Taylor, obviously, we've got to temper expectations a little bit for year one, but he's a guy I love for the future. Started 3 consecutive years at LSU. To me, I've said this time and time again, if he would have went back to LSU, I think he comes into this next season, 2026, as tight end 1 in the draft class. I think he's a top 15 pick next year in the draft class. So getting him now in mid to late second round, as you saw in the draft, he went up boards big time. People were originally talking him late second, early third, and then it was like, ooh, he might even sneak into the late first. Ended up going early second. I think he's a steal. I love Mason Taylor. Love the physique. He was productive. The only thing he didn't have a lot of was touchdowns at LSU, but so many other guys, NFL quality players on that team that scored. But he was solid across board, one of the all-time leaders in catches and receptions, receptions and receiving yards for the LSU Tigers in his career. To me, if he's getting in a 1.75 or a 2.0, if he's getting to the 2.6, you got to grab him. I just think you absolutely have to grab him at that point. If he's falling later than that, I'm still all in on him. I even took him as high as 212 in a non-tight end premium league that was a salary cap league that I liked him because I wanted to get a cheap tight end that I knew I could play a little bit, but I wasn't counting on a ton of points. So I like him there. And some 2 tight end or start 2 tight end at 2.0 premium leagues, he was going as early as 2.2, 2.3. in some drafts. So if I can get him anywhere between 2.6 and 2.10 in at least a 1.5 PPR league, I'm all over Mason Taylor. He's another guy for me in that second round. I feel like is just an absolute steal. My favorite third round guy as we're kind of moving through the draft. Again, if you got any questions, any players you like, or you want just my thoughts on them, go ahead and throw them in the chat. Be happy to answer any questions on any of these rookies. My favorite guy in round 3 right now is Dylan Sampson, running back out of Tennessee, broke all kinds of records there, ended up being a 4th-round pick by the Browns. Obviously, his value got pushed down a little bit because they took Quinshon Judkins in the 2nd round from Ohio State. I like both these guys together. I think Sampson has the better receiving profile. I think Cleveland wants to pound the rock. I think both these guys are going to see plenty of touches. Sampson could easily be the Jaylen Warren to Judkins, just like Jaylen Warren for the Steelers was to Najee Harris, still playable, still a flex play, even though he's technically the number 2 guy, but he was the 3rd down back. I think we're going to see much of the same from Dylan Sampson. He was a guy pre-draft going in the 2nd round in almost every league, going early second round, now dropping to the mid to late third. I've even scooped him up early fourth in a couple leagues, which I just absolutely could not believe he got to me at some of those. So he's a guy I'm definitely looking to trade up for if he gets into the late third, early fourth. I'm taking him as high as 3-3, 3-4. I have no problem taking anywhere in the third round, as I actually think he's going to be part of the mix. And if anything happens to Judkins, I think Sampson immediately becomes a full-time player and a guy you can count on for fantasy purposes, especially on this Browns team is going to want to control the clock. So he's a guy I really like in that third round as well. Another player kind of sneaking into that third round that I've been grabbing a ton of, and that is Jalen Noel. Noel was a guy that we've seen. He was kind of going late second round, and I've seen him kind of push down boards here a little bit lately. I saw him got all the way to the early fourth in a league earlier this week. I couldn't believe it. If he is dropping all the way to your third round, and especially late third round, I think he becomes a must pick player. I just, it's hard to believe that he's falling that far. He was a guy that was consistently going late second round, and he's been dropping a little bit to the third. So he's a guy that I'm not actively going after him. I do like him a lot, but if he gets to you, just got to take the value there. We got a question here from our guy Drew here. He'll be on later. Check out Drew and the boys on Fantasy and Frames. After this show, they're going to be starting at 10 o'clock Eastern time, 9 Central. Thoughts on RJ Harvey after the Dobbins signing? So this one's interesting. Obviously, anytime you get these late signings for running backs, quarterbacks, receivers, you're always wondering, hey, what is that going to affect the guy that's already on the team? This one, I think, hurts Harvey a little bit, but I think we always have to wonder what's happening with Sean Payton, where he's going to play guys. Obviously, they liked Harvey a lot. He's already he is a pretty impressive guy. He's ready to jump on and go right away. So I'm not worried about that. I really think Harvey is the guy, and if he's not the guy right off the bat, and Dobbins is, I think Harvey is going to take over by the end of the year. Obviously, Dobbins, the veteran, but he's also coming to a new team, new program, not a coach he's played for before. So again, I don't know if that necessarily gives Dobbins a huge leg up on Harvey. If you like Harvey, the Dobbins signing is not pushing me off him. If you're already a little bit questionable, do I like Harvey that much? Then I think maybe Dobbins, for me, would push me down a little bit if I already was having doubts. But I don't think it should move a bunch. It doesn't mean that Harvey should all of a sudden be like mid-second round. Now, me, I don't love him that much, but it's hard to see him getting past the late first round in almost any draft. And again, I do like Harvey. I think he's a cheaper version of Ashton Jeanty. I think if you go back and watch their film, they're a little more similar than people maybe want to admit, though I do think Jeanty is an overall much better player. So I'm not saying that, but I do think if you want to like a mini version of him, I think Harvey could be that guy. So I still like Harvey. Harvey and Caleb Johnson are probably the two rookie running backs that I'm like the most nervous about. And not that because I don't like them. I like them as players. I'm nervous about like kind of what the whole situation is going to look like because they both seem like they should be the guys right from the start. But for some reason, I just got a little inkling that maybe they're not. Maybe they're going to get touches, but are they going to be super successful right off the bat? So thanks, Drew. I appreciate that question. There on RJ Harvey. Feel free, anybody else who's around, jump in on the chat, ask me about those guys. I'll give you a real recap real quick of kind of who I talked about so far on this as we're going 2025 Dynasty rookie drafts. Who are some of my favorite values? Right now, first round value for me is Emeka Egbuka. I just think, even though he went to Tampa and it seems like a bad spot, loaded class, I just think Emeka Egbuka is that good. I think he's going to find his way in the lineup and early. I'd love him for deep dynasty purposes, but I do think he gives you something this year. I really like him. Getting him in the late second to early second round, late first, early second round to me is just outstanding value. I'm grabbing him all over the place, anywhere from 110 to the second round. One of my favorite buys is Luther Burden. The reason I say that is a lot of times he's going 2-2 to 2-4. I'm taking him as high as 110. I just love Burden. I think he's super underrated right now. I think we're buying the dip on Burden personally. So I like him. Trey Harris, if he gets to the late second round, I'll take him early second. But if he gets the late second, I think it's an absolute steal. Also, Mason Taylor, tight end for the Jets. To me, he's tight end 3 in this class, and I think he's closer to Tyler Warren than people want to admit. I think he would have been tight end 1 next year's draft, so I'm grabbing Mason Taylor. If I can wait on tight end and grab him in the late second as opposed to Colston Loveland or Warren in the first, I'm doing that. If I can get Taylor in the late second, early third. He was going mid-third, like pre-NFL draft, and now it's just you can't get that value anymore. I still think it's a value late second, but he's anywhere from 2.6 to 2.12 depending on your scoring format. Third round, going back over real quick, Dylan Sampson, Cleveland, mid-third to late third. Absolutely love him. I'm not worried about the role. I think he's actually going to be a guy who gets playing time and sees playing time moving forward. So I really like that. Getting into the fourth round, this is actually a round I like a ton. Usually fourth round is like a throwaway round most people consider for fantasy rookie drafts. I like it a lot. There's 2 guys that are getting into this round that I'm taking everywhere if they get in this round. First guy is Pat Bryant from Illinois, went to the Broncos. I think he could be a Courtland Sutton type of clone, type of guy. Sutton on his last year's deal. I think there's targets to go around there in Denver. Pat Bryant, a guy that went, I had an early third round grade in, went in the, I had him like late third to mid third. He went early third. I love the draft capital going to the Broncos. I think it's a great spot. He's a guy I've seen as high as the early second, but that's only people that really know him and know the Big Ten. I feel like in leagues where people aren't Big Ten people, didn't watch Illinois, they are not as high on him. And I've seen him drop all the way to the fourth round for a guy that went in the third in the real NFL draft. I just think is an absolute steal. I've been getting him anywhere from early fourth to late fourth. If I can get him in that fourth round, if he gets to me, he is one of the guys at the top of my queue. Another guy that people have been asking me about a lot lately because of the Nick Chubb signing is Woody Marks out of USC. I love Woody Marks. He is one of the best receiving profiles in this draft for me. I'm taking him as early as mid-third. I'm way higher than him in almost any draft board. If you start going through the rankings, you look at ADP, I'm way higher than him. But a lot of leagues I'm in, people know I like Woody Marks. If I wait to the fourth, I can't get him. But you could probably get him in your fourth. I've been taking him in the third just because I want to make sure I don't miss out on him. But he's a very good value in the fourth. I still think he's a value at the end of the third, but he's an outstanding value in the fourth. I think he has a chance to be a third down back, see some receiving role here in Texas. You know, Mixon, injury away. Now with the Chubb signing, it does look like if Mixon has injury problems, it probably is going to go to Chubb and then Marks. But I do think Marks this year finds a way to get some playing time on the field. Is a possible flex play by the end of the year, but I do like him future purposes. Again, a little bit of an older player, at 24, but a guy that's got experience can come in and play right away. And the Texans did trade up and traded a third rounder next year to make sure they got him in the fourth round this year. That makes me excited about him. They wanted to make sure they didn't miss out on him in that fourth round where all kinds of running backs were going. So Woody Marks, Pat Bryant, fourth round for me are the guys that I'm absolutely all over. Absolute steals for me, I think, if they get to that fourth round. Now we get to the fifth round. I know people hate the fifth round of rookie drafts. I have people all the time are like, I don't even know who these guys are in this fifth round. They're like, this guy's never going to make my roster. Why are we even like wasting our time? Not me. I love the fifth round. It's my favorite round to take flyers on guys. This is where I can go out and just some guy I loved from college or I love the landing spot, and you can just throw a dart throw and take a shot at him and see if he possibly makes it. You taxi squat him for a year or two. If he makes it, great. If he doesn't, it was a fifth round pick. No harm, no foul. Couple guys I love. A guy I was getting in the fifth round all the time who's moving way up draft boards. I don't know if you'll get him there anymore, but you were getting him there 2-3 weeks ago. And that's a Rondé Gadsden, tight end for the Chargers out of Syracuse. Jim Harbaugh glowingly talked about him the other day. John Harbaugh. They're just talking about him. They loved him. He loves him. I think he could really win that job at tight end. He's more of a Gesicki type. He's not an inline blocker. He's a guy that's going to play more in the slot role. I really like him there. He was a guy I was getting late fourth, early fifth in like almost every draft. Couple tight end premium leagues I'm in, I've seen him skyrocket up the board into even the third round. So he might not really be a steal value anymore, but keep an eye on him in your draft if he starts falling. He's a guy I want to look to get late fourth. Is Torrey Horton out of Colorado State, went to the Seahawks. Not a lot in front of him. If you start looking at the Seahawks, they got Cooper Kupp, they got JSN, but outside of that, right now they got MVS as the starter. Don't like that at all. Horton injured last year at Colorado State, or he would have been drafted much higher. Came back early, still ran a fantastic 40 time at the combine. I really like Torrey Horton. And to me, I can actually see a path to him being the number 3 on this team. So if I can get Horton, I'm in on Torrey Horton. I've had drafts where I got him in the 5th, 6th round. 6th round in an IDP league. I got him like damn near the last pick of the draft. I couldn't believe it. But if I can get him in the 5th round of a league, I'm in it. I've seen him jump way up in drafts, depending on the format and depending on what site you're on. I had a site where he was ranked like 49th overall in the draft, something like that. Maybe it was even a little higher. So I had to get him a little earlier, but there's some leagues where he's way down in the ADP and you can absolutely steal him. So Torrey Horton, a guy I absolutely love. To me, he's a guy worth taking a shot on. Even if he doesn't hit year one, who knows how much longer you're going to get out of Cooper Kupp. He has a path to being the number 2 at Seattle. Taj Brooks for the Bengals. Taj Brooks has a good shot to be the backup to Chase Brown. If he ends up winning that backup role, he'll be very valuable behind Chase, especially you have him. So at the end of the draft here, he's a guy I'm definitely looking at. And another guy who's a part of that Seattle team again, Damian Martinez, a guy I really liked entering the draft, fell all the way to the 7th round. I'm loving to take a shot on him behind Kenny Walker and Charbonnet. Something happens with those guys. Martinez could end up being a guy that ends up seeing a lot of playing time in the future for Seattle. He's going to need injuries as rookie year to see any time. He's a guy I'm not expecting much out of, but I want to stash him. Put him on my taxi squad. 100%. I'm all over Damian Martinez in the last round. And then another guy who I'm getting in either in the last round, my 5th round, or I'm taking with my first pickup in the free agent bidding. Syracuse, great receiving profile. Again, another guy who kind of fell in the draft, didn't go to the 7th round, really good receiver, didn't crush in the metrics, only ran like a 4.58 40. But he's just a really solid all-around player. I think he's a guy that could eventually move up in the backfield in Jacksonville and kind of steal some third down work just because he's such a good receiver out of the backfield. And he's a pretty solid blocker. So I like LaQuinn Allen. I wouldn't expect much from him this year, but if you have room to stash a guy on taxi, LaQuinn Allen's a guy I want on my taxi squad. There could be a big change between this year and next year in the Jacksonville backfield. If Etienne, Tank Bigsby aren't back, and you got Brayshawn Tootin and LaQuinn Allen, there's a chance LaQuinn Allen could see time. Now, is there a good chance he could just end up never getting on the field? Could he be this another Syracuse version of Sean Tucker? Definitely. That is a possibility, but I like the talent. I like the upside. I had him much, much higher in my running back grades than obviously he got drafted. But I think there's a path to some playing time. And if I see that those are the guys I kind of want late in draft. So he's the guy I'm looking out for. And then depending on what happens with this with the situation there in Minnesota with Jordan Addison, Ty Felton is a guy that was taken in the 3rd round. I've seen him drop drastically in drafts. I've seen a ton of drafts where he didn't even get taken, and a lot of other ones where he got taken in the last round. Ty Felton is a guy I don't mind spending some late draft capital in. 3rd round pick. So obviously they liked him. He's a burner. He's a deep outside guy. If Addison misses time with a possible suspension, if he can beat out Naylor for the 3rd wide receiver role, I think that could be a decent spot as well moving forward. So he's another guy there in the 5th round. So that's going to do it for me here. Unless I get any last second questions jumping in on the comments section. I appreciate everybody jumping out. Kind of an impromptu Dynasty 365. And some of the other guys had some time off. I wanted to be able to fill some time here on on Fantasy and Frames here right before the 4th and Frame show that's coming up here shortly. Make sure you like and subscribe everything at Fantasy on Frames all across social media. You can follow me at JT Orange on the X or Twitter, talking all kinds of fantasy stuff on there. I'm in every kind of draft. So any kind of questions from IDP to Devi to C2C to CFF, redraft, I do it all. So feel free to jump on there, ask me any questions. I'm in a million drafts right now. So if you wonder where I'm getting guys and what formats, feel free to hit me up with questions on there. I'd be happy to kind of show you where I've got some of these players as well. And I appreciate everybody checking in with me tonight. Stick around here. 4th and Frames coming up in about 20 minutes from now. So stick around, go get a drink, get yourself a snack, and then jump back in front of the screen and watch these guys here on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts or the X. I'll always love to have you on there. Thanks. I'm JT. We'll check you next time.